What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad for the first time. Announcing the new co-host of Party on Broad. He is the Freddie Burns, the man, the myth, the legend, at Freddie Burns _ of Edge of Philly Sports. What's going on, Freddie?
What's going on? Happy to be aboard. I love the name. I always did love the name. Glad you asked me to join you. I'm pretty pumped up. We got a national championship tonight, and we got college football to talk about in relation to the Eagles. So I'm a Georgia fan. Got my Georgia jersey on. So I even got my sleeve, wrong arm sleeve Beautiful. Going here too. So Beautiful. Go Dogs.
Yeah, it couldn't be any more on brand to kind of have a rebrand with the national championship game and counting down the top prospects, NFL draft prospects on Georgia, on TCU. I say we jump right in. Is that cool?
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's jump into my rankings for Georgia and TCU. Jalen Carter at the top. I've got a top 5 grade on this dude. That then goes into Keely Ringo, a top 20 cornerback. There's been some question marks. This guy's a little bit polarizing. We're going to go in depth more about this dude in a little bit. Next up, Quentin Johnston, wide receiver, arguably the top wide receiver in the draft. I have a top 20 grade on him. Next up, Broderick Jones, a really intriguing tackle prospect. I've got a round 1 grade on him. Followed up by Chris Smith, a guy that I am really interested in, a safety for Georgia. I've got a day 2 grade on that guy. There's a lot of day 2 grades here for Georgia players. Nolan Smith is an edge guy that's all about upside. Day 2 grade on him as well. Darnell Washington, if it was a 6'7" tight end prospect that's playing behind arguably one of the best playmakers in college football, period, in Brock Bowers, who will probably be a top 5 pick himself next year. I guess in 2 years. Day 2 grade on Darnell Washington. Cedric Van Pran, another great interior offensive lineman prospect, day 2. Next up, Steve Avila, an inside offensive lineman prospect out of TCU. Rounds 3 through 4 grade on that guy. A guy that I think has to have a huge game against Georgia is Dylan Horton, an edge rusher for TCU. And then we get into Stetson Bennett, Max Duggan, quarterback. I kind of lump those guys in together. Both are day 3 guys to undrafted free agent guys. And then Kenny McIntosh and blocking it with my banner here, Travius Hodges Tomlinson, a cornerback. So let's jump into Jalen Carter here. I'm going to break down the player. My man Freddie is going to grade the fit for the Birds as I'm trying to find the overlay here. Where's the overlay? Let me get rid of this. Now we're back. There we are. So let's get a little bit into Mr. Jalen Carter, interior defensive lineman prospect. I love this guy. I think there is a conversation when it comes to who is better between Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. I think it's more 1A and 1B type of guys. Just amazing twitch for a guy that size. He's 6'3". He can, get consistent pressure in the pass, against the pass. He can dominate run ball carriers in the backfield. He's got 47 quarterback pressures and 6 sacks over the past 2 seasons. Lightning quick step, super strong hands. He had 26 quarterback pressures this past season. You saw him get 5 hurries alone in the Peach Bowl just a couple of weeks ago. And he's also extremely versatile. He can play all 3 downs at the next level. And that kind of makes him, for me, a top 5 pick. As I get some graphics up, Freddie, how would you grade Jalen Carter's fit with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, we've been tweeting all year. We want to see him here. God, how's he escaping me? Our defensive, our nose tackle. Jeez, how's he? Jordan Davis. We've been saying all year to have the reemergence of Georgia's D line here. We've been tweeting. I don't know how you can't like Jalen Carter. He's a 3-4 scheme, but they move him all over the place as far as nose tackle on the outside, inside of the guard. I kind of look at it as like Gannon's going to be gone, so. It's probably going to be Vic Fangio. I really have a feeling. So I'm kind of looked up how he's going to run his stuff, and he likes to do a lot of stuff. So I think it's a perfect fit for the Eagles. He has a great motor. If there's anything he struggles with, I would say maybe like double teams a little bit. They say like his hand punch needs improvement. Like I think he relies on his skill and his athleticism a little bit more. So a little bit of coaching. But dude, if Jalen Carter's there at 10, come on, you got to be done. He's not going to be there. So the question is, would you trade up for him? I don't know. But he's an A+ fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. No doubt about it.
Yeah, he's one of my guys, man. I think there's also an argument as Eagles fans to say whether or not Jalen Carter is a better fit for the Eagles right now than Will Anderson. He can fit perfectly next to Jordan Davis, regardless of the scheme. Just a sensational prospect. I would love for him to be, available at 10, but I think he's got more of a chance to go to number 1 or like top 2, top 3 than be at the bottom in that 8, 9, 10 range for the Eagles. Let's jump right in next with Kelee Ringo. Kelee Ringo is a really intriguing prospect here for Georgia. I've got a top 20 grade on him. First off, he's got great size and length, 6'2", 205 pounds, very good athleticism. He ran a 4.35 40-yard dash back in high school. Does a really good job pressing receivers at the line, and has done a really good job holding his own on vertical routes. I think that's where he's at his best, when he's targeted downfield and using that plus athleticism to make plays, be a ball hawk. He has a great ability to mirror receivers. He can be aggressive at times. There's some talk recently. Is he athletic enough to handle number 1 wide receivers at the NFL level? He's fallen just a little bit, but that's just the way this works. According to Pro Football Focus, Ringo has allowed just 1 touchdown in coverage all season, and no receiver has topped 100 yards against Kelee Ringo this year. In fact, no pass catcher has gone over 72 yards when lined up against this dude. So very few prospect cornerbacks have the size, speed, just physicality that Ringo has. If I had to compare him to previous years, he's not in the tier of a Sauce Gardner. He's not even close to a tier of Derek Stingley. He would be right in that next tier for Kelee Ringo. What is your thought on the fit for Kelee Ringo and the Philadelphia Eagles?
I love Kelee Ringo. I've loved him all year long, just watching Georgia myself. He's very athletic. I had a question that they say that he seems like he's all over the field. He's always making plays. That is true. He is very aggressive, overly aggressive, that he gets beat at times. He's a willing tackler as well. As far as the Eagles go, we have 2 cornerbacks that are going to be making a lot of money. And James Bradbury, who I love, is going to cost some money. And that's a lot of money at the position. And I don't know if the Eagles are willing to pay it. They can also move Ringo into the nickel. He's played the nickel at times at Georgia, so you can move him around. Eagles love versatile corners. We've seen C.J. Gardner-Johnson go down. The injuries there. Avonte Maddox may move on to get paid. I think he's a good fit. He's probably a B. My only concern is, and I'm not sure the stats you were reading from whatever draft thing, if they're counting the last game, because Marvin Harrison last game went off and he was partially in coverage in a lot of those. So he kind of got rocked by what you would say a number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see tonight him matched up against Quentin Johnston to see how he responds. So I'd say a B. I don't know if I take him in the first round, though. I might have to wait till the second round.
All right. That was a little bit about Kelee Ringo. Let's move on to the next guy here. Quentin Johnston out of TCU, the best player on the Horned Frogs, 6'4", 215 pounds, can punish defenses on all 3 levels. He's got big time breakaway speed with acceleration, man. When he's in rhythm, when he's clicking on all cylinders, he is impressive to watch, and then some. I don't think he's just a straight line vertical threat. I think he's a solid route runner. He can make you pay regardless of the pattern he's running. He can dominate smaller defenders. He needs to improve as a blocker. And he's also quite prone to getting jammed at the line of scrimmage with physical press coverage, which he'll learn. I've got a top 20 grade on Mr. Quentin Johnston. This game is going to be huge for his draft stock, no question. Not the number. However, I don't know if he's the number 1 wide receiver prospect in this draft. Some people say he is. Some people, I think that's still up for debate. Kayshon Boutte out of LSU. You've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who a lot of people have forgotten about. That guy was sensational 2 years ago, didn't play much at all in 2022. I still think it's up for grabs, but a huge game here in the national championship could cement that number one wide receiver ranking. What's your grade for Quentin Johnston on the Birds?
I would say he's not a fit. I mean, we're kind of full, aren't we? And to spend a first round pick possibly on a wide receiver and another one out of TCU, mind you, I'm a little leery of the TCU wideouts.
Yeah.
And the knocks on him is he struggles with press man coverage. Ironically, Keely Ringo's a press cover corner. That's going to be, again, to hit that matchup one more time. But it's good to see for the pros how he does. He very well may be a great receiver in the NFL, but just not a fit for the Eagles. We're full.
Yep. My man Shane did a mock draft with Quentin Johnston to the Birds. The only scenario I know. The only scenario I would maybe think about it would be like pick number 32. He's there, BPA. There's maybe discussion there. I don't like the fit. I agree, Freddie. I like a lot of the other slot receivers that are in this wide receiver class, like a Zay Flowers, like a Josh Downs, if available. I've kind of moved on from Quez Watkins. That's another topic for another show, but Quentin Johnston there. Let's get into the next guy. He is Broderick Jones, a really intriguing prospect here. Tackle prospect for Georgia. Super toolsy guy, 6'4", 315 pounds, plays with a lot of leverage, plays with a lot of length. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school, extremely explosive in space, strong at the point of attack, a relentless finisher. If you watch some of my highlights on this guy, man, he's nasty. He's absolutely nasty, just dragging players out of bounds and just pummeling them. He hasn't allowed a sack all year long. He's only given up 7 quarterback hurries in 14 games in 2022. He needs to clean up in pass protection, and he kind of struggles to regain leverage off blocks and react to defenders on the move. But I love this guy. I think there's an absolute debate for this guy filling in for Lane Johnson down the road. What's your grade on Broderick Jones?
I mean, he's projected to be left tackle, so we'd have to maybe move Jordan Mailata over the right or train him on the right. But definitely Lane Johnson is certainly a question mark. This guy's an animal. In the national championship, he held his own against last year against Will Anderson Jr. That was a great game, a great matchup of good players. I think he's certainly a fit. And then the questions that you have from a, fundamental or technical standpoint. I mean, we got the best O-line coach in the game. I mean, he took a rugby player and has him in the Pro Bowl. So I don't see any question marks here as far as him being in the Eagles. It's just a matter, would you take him at 10? Is he worth a 10, or do you trade back and get him a little later?
He's definitely in my top 10. I think the question begins, can he play right tackle? I wouldn't mess up Jordan Mailata there at left tackle. So questions begin, does he have the versatility to play on the right side? Does he have the versatility to play maybe a little right guard as, Lane Johnson kind of moves forward with his career? But Broderick Jones has a ton of talent, just a monster. I think he's in my top 10. A great game here in the national championship could definitely cement that for me. So Broderick Jones is on the tail end of my top 10. Let's move on to Chris Smith. Chris Smith out of Georgia here. He's a safety prospect. This is a guy that's not going to wow anybody on the eye test. He's only 5'11", 190 pounds at best. Maybe he's a little bit smaller when he tests at the combine here. He's a good athlete. He doesn't have elite deep speed. He doesn't have elite burst. But where this guy is so elite comes from his quick processing and high football IQ. He's a fluid mover. He does really well, quick reacting to breaks, following quarterback's eyes. He's just got this uber mix of physical and mental tools that allows him to play in space. He can be in the slot. He can play on the outside. Over the past 2 years, he's got 5 interceptions and 9 pass deflections. He always seems to be around the football. Chris Smith, man, what's your grade on Chris Smith?
Even on special teams, he's around the football. There's a block return for a touchdown. He could play some special teams as well. He does have some issues tackling, so that's kind of a question mark. But we don't really want our safeties tackling in this day and age anyway. It's a passing league. We want them covering at safety. What you say day 2? Do you think early day 2 or 4 or 5? Early? Yeah, I don't know if it's a fit then. I don't think I'm taking him that early. Okay. He doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the frame. If I feel like I can get this same guy in the 4th or 5th round. So I'm going to go no, but I still think he's a good player. And like you said, very high IQ.
Yeah, here's his little draft profile here. Chris Smith. I kind of like the more I looked into him, the more I started to kind of like him a lot more and more. So we'll see what he does today. But the dude's a ball hawk. He's had huge moments in 2022. That light frame is a little bit of a concern, but Chris Smith is definitely one to watch for today. Let's roll on to the other Smith for Georgia. That is Nolan Smith. By the way, we're not covering Brock Bowers. He's not draft eligible this year. Nolan Smith is all about upside, man. He's unquestionably a first-round talent. He's got some injury history. I think this guy is going to be polarizing after the combine because he's got all the measurables you want out of a top edge rusher, elite athlete, former 5-star recruit. He has excellent burst and twitch, bend capacity, pursuit speed in space at 6'3", 235 pounds. The question is, what position is he? And with all of those tools and all those physical measurables, like, why isn't the production as good? That's like the main thing you keep coming back to when it comes to Nolan Smith, man. But this guy's all about upside. He's one of the best pass rushers in this class. What's your grade on Nolan Smith?
I don't think he's a fit. He's an edge rusher that can't rush the passer. So, like, he stops the run, and he's on a defense that is built to stop the run. He's an emotional leader, good locker room guy, all that stuff. But I would say no. We need edge rushers. We've had plenty of edge rushers or projects that we're trying to develop into edge rushers that just never pan out on this team. Mm-hmm. They just never do. I just feel like it's not a fit for the Eagles right now. Let's go sign a proven veteran or draft a more proven. I would rather take a guy that's got the edge rush down and let's teach him how to stop the run as opposed to the opposite.
I agree. As much as I am just this guy, he's kind of getting overshadowed by the immense talent and depth at the edge position in this draft, man. There's going to be like 8 to 10 guys that are all first, second round picks. And I think this guy is kind of at the back end of that. TK says, what about the TCU receiver? We just went over Quentin Johnston just a little bit ago. He was the number 2 guy we talked about here. Or no, number 3 guy we talked about here tonight. Let's keep rolling here to our next guy. And that is Darnell Washington, tight end for the Georgia Bulldogs, man. 6'7", 280 pounds, towers almost everybody, pretty much any game he plays. Of course, that size comes with some deficiencies when it comes to creating separation. He's not a very good short area athlete, but that size, those physical measurables, man, he can overwhelm defenders in the red zone. He's going to be a huge red zone target at the next level. He's got great frame. He's got smooth catching instincts. So that's what this guy is. He's a potentially dominating situational threat at the next level. And that's what the NFL is, man. The NFL is a mismatched league. And this guy is also an elite run blocker as well. What's your grade on Darnell Washington?
I mean, he's underwhelming as far as he's a 5-star, but he's got Brock Bowers there that's playing a lot, so it kind of overshadows him. Or you got a better player for the team there. I love it though for the Eagles. A day 2 pick. We have seen this team go with the double tight end to success since Ertz has left. We really haven't seen it successfully. I think he's worth it. Like you said, he's a physical specimen, like 6'7", 265 pounds.
It's huge.
Like, if you can get him day 2, maybe 4th round.
Yeah.
Maybe 5th. Wait, what's it? 5th? 5th is day 2 as well, right? It's 3 to 5 or 2 to 5. So 5th round, no doubt. Let's take him. I like the fit. I love the double tight end option without going so high in the draft that you're paying too much money for it.
Yeah, he's fun. He's a fun guy. He could make a lot of money, at the combine because I think he's going to test really, really well. Let's roll on to our next dude, Cedric Van Pran. He's an interior offensive lineman for the Georgia Bulldogs. Dude is an extremely explosive center prospect. I've got a day 2 grade on him, man. What I like most about him, he's a younger prospect. He's only 21 years old. One of the few underclassmen in this draft that kind of made the right decision because I think he's going to be drafted high, maybe even higher. He's probably one of those guys that, if he stayed in next year, he would be even drafted higher. But you look at Fashanu, the guy for Penn State, an elite offensive tackle prospect. He went back to Penn State, risking injury. While I respect that he's going back for school, man, that's a really risky thing to do, especially in a weak offensive tackle class where he could have been a top 5 pick. But Van Pran is coming out. We expect him to go to the draft. He was a big time recruit out of high school, elite football IQ, incredible strength here. And he was a little bit up and down during the 2022 season. But this guy's all about projection and upside. Cedric Van Pran, what's your grade on the fit?
He's a versatile interior offensive lineman. He sounds like an Eagle to me. He plays center. He can play center, guard. We don't definitely know who's going to take over for Jason Kelsey. Landon Dickerson has played some center. Who's the other guy we drafted that's not playing? And anyhow, Cedric. Yeah. So Cedric Van Pran is definitely an Eagle fit, an Eagle perfect SEC lineman. I would definitely take him and see how it works out. We'll see if he plays guard. You got Sayamalu's going to be gone because of free agency this year as well. No doubt about it. We're not paying him, so there's a nice fit, nice way to plug that hole.
Love it. Steve Avila for TCU, interior offensive lineman, number 9 here. I've got a rounds 3 through 4 grade on Steve Avila. Big body, heavy hands, impressive knockback power. He was TCU's starting center in 2020 and 2021 before moving to left guard this year. He's not allowed a single sack this season. Just powerful. He's got experience also at tackle, so he can play anywhere across the offensive line. He's not a flashy guy like a Cedric Van Pran, but he does a lot of the things right. He just doesn't have, that elite feet, that footwork that can kind of hurt him against more quicker guys at the next level. But what's your thoughts on Steve Avila and his grade and fit with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I'm going to stay away. I haven't watched much. When you said the footwork ain't there, I just kind of, and then I add in that he's playing for TCU, and I don't think the level of competition is that of the SEC like Cedric Van. So, I'm going to pass on Steve Avila. Hopefully he has a great career, but he can go elsewhere as far as the Eagles go.
All right. And then we get to Dylan Horton. Dylan Horton, an edge rusher for TCU. TCU is hoping he brings that fire, brings that intensity that he showed in the Fiesta Bowl, where he had 4 sacks and 6 tackles. This is the guy for TCU. Defensively, he had 10 sacks in 2022, 6'4", 278 pounds. He was also listed among Bruce Feldman's freak list, which is a measure of the top athletic players in college. He had a 4.55 40 and 38-inch vertical. This guy is raw as a pass rusher, but he's incredibly athletic. One of the better upside picks, at least for me, in that day 3 range. He's also a former safety, so he's definitely got that for him because we know how much Jonathan Cannon, unfortunately, throws Hassan Reddick back in the coverage. So he can play in a 2-point stance, a 3-point stance. He's got versatility. I expect this guy to absolutely blow it up at the combine. Just yet another guy that I think is going to be a high riser in the coming months. What's your thoughts and fit for Dylan Horton on the Philadelphia Eagles?
I mean, 10 sacks this year. What'd you say his height was?
6'3". 6'4". 6'4".
So as you're describing him, it reminds me of ND Kalu. I think I'll take him over over the Georgia guy that doesn't know how to rush the pass. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take this guy. He reminds me of ND Kalu. You can spot him up and just rush him. Bring him in on third downs, rush the passer. I mean, he has 10 sacks in 2022. Yeah. Give me him this late in the draft.
I do too. I like him a lot. I think the fit is absolutely there. And he has to have a huge game. One of the biggest keys for TCU if they're going to win the national championship. Next up, I kind of threw these two guys together because they're kind of in the same boat. Stetson Bennett, Max Duggan, quarterbacks here. Bennett and Duggan have obviously been instrumental for their team's success. Bennett's accuracy what turned him into a walk-on to an unquestioned starter and leader. Almost back-to-back national champion. The first guy since 2012, Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron did it. If Stetson Bennett wins this one, he's 25 years old, so he's not young, but he's really close to breaking a lot of big-time records at Georgia. And then you get to Duggan, who wasn't even the Horned Frogs starting quarterback to begin 2022, but he's kind of emerged as this like dual threat quarterback. He plays with a ton of heart, a ton of toughness. He's been the guy responsible for 58% of TCU's offensive touchdowns this year. He's not rated very highly when it comes to the draft process. He doesn't have much going for them other than he is a gamer. He is absolutely 100% a gamer, as we have seen in big moments. He has delivered. What are your grades on Bennett and Duggan?
I'm staying away from both. Bennett, I as watching Georgia, Bennett is really, he continues to, every time people say he can't do something, he does it, including myself. Yeah. Last year, I wanted JT Daniels to take over, and JT looked good in the games he was in. He throws some picks, but Bennett continued to improve. I just don't think at the next level, and even in these bowl games here, like he makes some bad throws. I don't think he's ready for the pro level, not even as a backup. He's a little small for my liking. I don't think his mobility will equate to the NFL level. Duggan, like you said, is a gamer, a little bit beefier with the way he runs and takes off, but he's not the dual threat quarterback at the NFL level. He doesn't have the speed, maybe a third string quarterback.
I agree. And then we get to Kenny McIntosh for the Georgia Bulldogs. This is Georgia's leading rusher. He had almost 800 yards and 10 rushing scores on the season. 6'1", 210 pounds. He's got prototypical size for the NFL game. Good playmaker, mismatch nightmare in the passing game, which is easily one of the biggest pluses when it comes to Kenny McIntosh. He had 42 receptions this year for 502 yards, and his 12 yards per reception led college football among running backs with 40 or more receptions. He's also very solid in pass protection, which automatically makes him a nice fit for the Eagles. He has seen 44 pass blocking snaps during the course of his career at Georgia, and he has allowed just 2 total pressures and no sacks. I know Howie's going to see that and absolutely love it. Fit for the Eagles.
A huge fit. I'm surprised. I think by the time we get closer to the draft, he's going to be a day 2 guy. This guy's going to have a great game tonight. He's tremendous. You just named every single fit for an Eagles running back possible. I'm glad you got the pass blocking in there because that's a big deal. Miles Sanders may move on. I love him as an Eagle, and it'll be such a good fit. And he's used to playing. Georgia likes circling their backs, and the Eagles like doing that as well. So run by committee. Bring him to Philly.
Yeah, I think the problem with Kenny McIntosh is he's going to be overwhelmed by an amazing depth at the running back position in this draft. It's arguably my favorite position in this draft, depth-wise. There are so many day 2 guys that I love. So he's going to be in the mix of guys like Zach Charbonnet, Jahmyr Gibbs if he falls, and so on. And last but not least, Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, a cornerback for TCU. This guy is only 5'9", 177 pounds. So he's not big, but he's a big play guy. He has a knack for shutting down opposing teams' top receivers. He has all the makings of being a really good slot corner at the next level. He plays bigger than his size. And you look at this dude, man. He was the Jim Thorpe Award winner for, I think, best defensive back. I could be wrong, but he led his team with 38 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, 3 interceptions, 14 passes defended. The production is absolutely there. Weaknesses wise, he is prone to some penalties at times, but he was dominant in the Fiesta Bowl. In that game, he was targeted 6 times and allowed no receptions in the Fiesta Bowl, and he had 2 passes defended. I have a day 3 grade on this guy only because of the size concerns. What's your thoughts on fit with the Philadelphia Eagles?
He's certainly a 100% Howie late pick. Howie loves taking D-backs late in the draft and seeing if they can amount to anything. I love this guy. I love that he can fit the slot. He could probably play some special teams. It sounds like he's feisty. Bring him the Eagle. It's definitely a fit. This is definitely how he loves doing this. And then he'll draft like 3 or 4 of them. And if they don't all pan out, they just get cut, you know?
Yep. All right. So that wraps it up. Freddie, where can we find you, man? What do you got going on over there at Edge of Philly Sports?
We're all over the place, but you can find me next in 2 weeks. Well, you find me every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. on Edge of Philly. You got me at Freddie Burns _. But next week, in 2 weeks, we'll be doing a pre-half and post game with you, Mr. Deibs. So check that out for the Eagles.
Love it. Tomorrow night, Birds of the Round Table. It's going to be a really fun one since the Eagles don't have a game this week. I'm so excited for the playoffs. But before the season, we did a preseason over-under show, and we're going to be revisiting that over-under show and making fun of ourselves on like things that we got right, things that we got wrong. It's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be tomorrow night at 8:00. So don't want to miss that. I am working on a full first round mock, including highlight reels and all that kind of stuff. I started it last weekend and I was like, why am I doing this? Why not just wait like a few more days until the final draft order is set?
You love it.
Yeah, I love it, man.
And you're good at it. And you're really good at it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So the Freddie Burns, new co-host of Party on Broad there. Give him a follow at Freddie Burns _. I am Deibs, Mr. Crockpot. Everybody enjoy the national championship game. Stay tuned to everything Party on Broad if you love the NFL draft, because loads and loads of mock drafts, combine updates, Senior Bowl updates. It's all coming, here at Edge of Philly Sports, at the Painted Lines. For Freddie, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.